Hey, shalom, shalom. What's going down? Welcome to the next episode of Reading with SHILO. What's good, baby? I'm SHILO. I'm out here. What's the business? What's the business with you? How you feeling today? What it is, what it ain't, what you can and what you can't. Yeah, what's the business? Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are out here, man. It's a late start. It's a late start today. Had other things to get done today, but hey, I'm gonna jump in this thing. We're gonna jump in this thing and pick back up and start off chapter 11 of the Medical Apartheid by Miss Harriet A. Washington, man. We have been moseying right along through the book. Moseying right along. Oh, shit. We got shit to do. Stuff to do today, man. We're going to pick back up and finish off. But, you know, since it's a late start, man, we're going to get right to it. Shit, man. Right on the top of that down there. Excuse me. My bad, y'all. My bad. So anyway, let's get started. Let's get started with the 25 things, man. 25 things. You do 25 things, I do 25 things, you know. But shit, don't cheat yourself. I'm gonna cheat myself. Oh man, what can we do? I guess let's do some arms. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Go on, pick it up, bitch. 20, 21, 22, 23, 2 more. 24, 1 more. Come on, sucker. Pick it up, sucker. 25. Let's get that on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. What up? What up? 17. Do your 25 things, damn it. 17. 18. I'm trying to do my 25 things. 19. 20. Ooh, 21. Ooh. Let's get this shit. Get out of the way here. 21. 22. Come on, sucker. Pick that damn thing up. 23. 22. 23. 2 more. 24. 1 more. Pick it up. Oh, got that damn thing. 25. Got that thing. Got that done. Les bon temps roulé. Oh, les bon temps roulé. Oh, shit. 25 things. So I did my 25 things, man. It's something. Something is better than nothing, you know, to help build on all that you have to succeed today. So we worked our body. Then we're going to work our mind, and then we're going to come back and work our body again to end off. Let me see. Come on. Let me put it in there so my necklace can show. Anyway, chapter 11. Chapter 11 of the Medical Apartheid by Miss Harriet A. Washington. Chapter 11 is called The Children's Crusade. Chapter 10, they were talking about if you have not caught it. Oh, by the way, like, comment, subscribe, tell your people all about it, man. Reading with SHILO, we out here. Chapter 10 was concerning the experimentation on the prisoners, the different type of experimentations they did, from cutting off the giblets to shoot them up with syphilis, syphilis, hepatitis, and gonorrhea, and all kind of different other medical ailments, to try to come across or come up with some type of cure or some type of therapeutic treatment. And it has been going on all the way up until pretty much 2000. And from the experimentation upon the inmates, soldiers, and so on and so forth, now we're moving to the children's side. The Children's Crusade. Research targets young African Americans, which is normally the case. Within this book, or within the framework of this book, it has been the case that African Americans have been the target point, and the children, all ages have been hit, from the time you come out the womb to the time you get ready to lay your ass down to the grave. You will be hit. And even sometimes, according to this book, you will not even have the chance to lay your ass down in the grave, because they're going to take you and put you on a dissection table and dissect you, and maybe send your leg here, a foot here, an ear there, an eye here. Parts of you will never be, you're going to be like Humpty Dumpty, baby. And they can't Humpty Dumpty and fell off the wall, and they can't put you back together again at all. So, yeah, but all right. So let's read what Miss Washington has to say. What is she going to tell us as we roll through these pages of chapter 11? What is she going to tell us? The Children's Crusade. Research targets young African Americans. So in chapter 11 also is long. It's going to be long. So it's going to be, I don't know if I'm going to do the hour reading. We're going to try to do an hour. We're going to see. Now, I said I get on this grill. I got to start the barbecue pit off, which I should have did earlier. We're going to try to do at least 4. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Damn. 6 pages. Maybe 6. Maybe 6 pages. Chapter 11 is very long. Well, I gotta lie, not very long. We could do it in 2 parts. Chapter 11 can be done in 2 parts. So I'll try to see if I can go ahead and get at least all the way to the stopping point I want to get to. Yes, sir. How can I help you?
Can you give me a fist bump, please, Dad?
I can give you more than that. That's all you want is a fist bump. That's all you want, sucker. Is that all you want? What about hugs? Can your daddy get a hug?
Yes, sir.
No, I'll take that. I love you, my son.
I do.
All right. Chapter 11. The Children's Crusade. Research targets young African Americans, and what's done to children, they will do to society. Carl A. Menninger, MD. All right, let's get going. Hey, if this is your first time, don't forget whatever words that I don't know, whatever words that I come across that is in my mind that I may not be able to pronounce, I don't understand, and to get a better understanding of what these words are and how they are in the sentence to help us understand what is being said more, I will take the time out to look up the words. And if you can't wait to get the Scrabble word together, then I don't know what to tell you, but that's what we're going to do. We're going to look up whatever words we don't know so we can have a better understanding of what we're reading, a better comprehension. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe, tell your people. Like many other parents struggling to bring up children in Brooklyn's Bedford-Stuyvesant area, Sharice Johnson and her husband felt besieged. Neighborhood children ran a gauntlet of ne'er-do-wells and drug dealers on their way to school, and bullets wounded even the innocent who ventured off after dusk. Gang members hounded young children. Her greatest fear was losing her son to the streets, and already her 16-year-old was being held in a detention center in upstate New York. Was he on a slippery slope to adult incarceration? She felt he must avoid this at all costs, And shortly afterwards, in 1992, representatives from Columbia University appeared at Johnson's door, explaining that they wanted her other son, 6-year-old Isaac, to go to its hospital for a series of simple interviews and tests, culminating in a one-time overnight stay involving a single dose of harmless medication. The worker explained that Columbia University was offering a safe, free test for Isaac in order to discover whether he might have any medical problems. They would pay her approximately $100, and they had something for Isaac as well, a gift certificate to Toys R Us if he agreed to participate. Ooh, look how they trying to get you with that giraffe. Toys R Us. A place where a kid can be a kid. Oh, the manipulation. Johnson hesitated briefly, but eventually she signed. She explained why during the congressional hearing. At first, I did not understand how and from what source they obtained my name and knew I had a 6-year-old son. I later came to the conclusion that this information came to them because of my 16-year-old son's involvement with the juvenile justice system. And needless to say, I decided to cooperate with the experimenters. I felt at the time that if they could find me and knew I had a 6-year-old son, they had enough power to affect the well-being of my 16-year-old son who was being held in a detention facility. American medicine has not spared Black children. Its very worst abuses in the name of scientific research. This chapter will discuss some of the many experiments that recruited Black children primarily or exclusively that stigmatized Black children and whose agendas were specifically racial. These have harmed not only children, but also the image of all African Americans. Now, over a decade ago, Isaac became ensnared in such a research initiative tailored specifically to children of color. And between 1992 and 1997, New York City's New York State Psychiatric Institute, the NYSPI, and Columbia University's Lowenstein Center for the Study and Prevention of Childhood Disruptive Behavior Disorders conducted several research studies that sought to establish a link between genetics and violence. They performed the experiments upon at least 126 boys, most of whom were between the ages of 6 and 10, utilizing the drug fenfluramine. It kind of sounds like fentanyl. Utilizing the drug fenfluramine, Columbia described the population of boys who were given the drug as 44% Black and 56% Hispanic. But this is misleading. Hispanic is another ethnic category encompassing people of white, Black, and mixed race. And all the Hispanic boys lived in the Washington Heights area are and were Black Dominicans, observed Ruby and Brown. Now, Sharice Johnson's lawyer, the boys were all Black, and this was by design. The experimental protocol specifies that eligible participants must be African American or Hispanic and specifically includes whites from participation. In 1998, that's when I graduated, I asked psychiatrist Timothy Walsh, MD, who headed the Institution Review Board, the IRB, that approved this study, why? And he explained that the protocol simply reflected the ethnic component of Columbia Medical Center's nearby catchment area, from which it drew its subjects. But this is untrue. And not only are there numerous white enclaves in Washington Heights, but some of the Black boys, including Isaac Johnson, were drawn from as far away as Brooklyn. The boys had something in common besides their dark skins. As Clarissa Johnson suspected, they have been selected because their older brothers had had contact with the probation system. And although it is illegal to breach the confidentiality of juvenile court records in this manner, a Department of Probation internal memo dated August 30th, 1991 states, We are participating in a research project being conducted by Professor Gail Wazerman of Columbia University regarding younger brothers of males offenders in the effort to identify early predictors of antisocial behavior. The probation department identified them as researchers, and researchers sought to investigate whether violent behavior might run in families and to identify a biological basis for such behavior. The researchers claimed that the drug fenfluramine could suggest a genetic basis for aggressive and violent behavior in boys because of its precursor of the neurotransmitter serotonin. Abnormal serotonin levels are implicated in many psychological states, and administering fenfluramine once or for a very short period normally causes one's serotonin levels to increase, which in turn increases the amount of the hormone placentin in the blood. And the researchers measured the blood placentin to indirectly assess how much serotonin levels rose. But if placentin levels increased too dramatically in response, this suggested to Columbia researchers that a biological brain dysfunction that may signal a tendency towards aggression. And on the strength of this tenuous connection, the investigators claimed that by monitoring how precipitously the boys' prolactin levels increased after the infusion of fenfluramine, they could measure the boys' propensity for aggressive behavior. Why not simply measure the boys' serotonin levels? This might not reveal pathology, because the blood serotonin's concentration might not reflect brain levels. And placentin, however, is produced only in the central nervous system. But Wazerman and her colleagues claimed that another risk factor fed the boys' perpetuated violent propensities: bad parenting. Black boys were fated to be the violent products of parental psychopathology or adverse rearing environments. And why? According to the researchers, because of their poverty and their ethnicity. To bolster this deterministic claim, researchers interviewed parents to establish their worthiness or lack thereof. But the interviewers were hardly blind or objective. They knew that the researchers sought evidence of pathological child rearing and of aggressive or violent propensities. It sounds like the same thing that's today with like CPS. As Sharice Johnson recalled, on the campus of Columbia University, we were subjected to a series of intimate, degrading questions, degrading questions, tests, and interviews. The experimenters also took advantage of my fears for the well-being of my 16-year-old son to intrude on the privacy of my home. And after such interviews, psychological assessments, and physical screenings, the researchers winnowed the original 126 study candidates to 66 boys, including Isaac, in several related fenfluramine studies. They did this by carefully selecting only those boys who were perfectly healthy, both physically and mentally, and did not display signs of questionable behavior. 34 of the boys in Isaac's group were given fenfluramine. If the drug fenfluramine sounds familiar, it is because it has constituted half of the notoriously cardiotoxic fen-phen weight loss. The fen-phen weight loss combination introduced in the U.S. market in 1973, associated with heart valve damage and deaths among dieters in the 1990s. Look how they got us. They were testing this on boys from the ages of 6 to 10 with healthy physically and healthy mentally. By the time the FDA banned it in 1997, concern was also circulating among physicians about the brain damage that low doses of fenfluramine induced in experimental animals. Medical reports of these injuries circulated well before the FDA ban and during Columbia's studies. Now, American researchers have focused intense scrutiny into the genetics of violence among Black boys. To their families and communities, the index cases, who first brings a family to the researchers' attention, including Isaac's older brother, might have been misbehaving, acting out, or testing boundaries by breaking minor laws against fighting and shoplifting. However, to Walsh and his colleagues, they were mentally ill. And university psychiatrists had diagnosed these boys with such psychiatric ailments as conduct disorder, oppositional defiant disorder, and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Diagnoses that describe children's disagreeable behaviors and that are often assigned to children who break the law. Such a psychiatric diagnosis, whether it describes an actual mental illness or not, can co-sign a child to a limbo between the law and psychiatric medicine, making him vulnerable to stigmatization by both. In fact, one legal observer, Leonard Glantz, remarked, "Indeed, it appears the only diagnosis these children had was one conferred on them by the investigators. And such a diagnosis also moves a child from the free world of the normal into the civil rights desert of the mentally ill. The press raised a hue and cry when it discovered the nature of the experiment, but failed to recognize it as part of a pattern. This was just one of the many psychiatric experiments in a movement to expand diagnoses of mental illness from one family member to others by positing a punitive genetic root of the illness, often on very thin evidence. At institutions such as the Harvard School of Public Health, the brothers and sisters of, I want to say schizophrenics. Let's see what it is. Schizophrenics. Shit. My bad, I lost my place. If it sounds and FDA improves, might have been mistaken of hyperactive, mentally ill. There we go. The brother and sisters of SCHIZOPHRENIC. SCHIZOPHRENICS. Schizophrenics. Let's see if it's in here. I think it's going to be in the big dictionary, not this one. But maybe it's in here. SCH. It is in here. Schism, schismatic, schismatical, schizophrenia, schizophrenic. So schizophrenic is a offshoot of schizophrenia. I'm pronouncing it wrong. I know I'm pronouncing it wrong. Schizo. A mental disease whose characteristics may include withdrawal from social relationships, delusions, and hallucination. Schizophrenic. There we go. Schizophrenic. schizophrenic. I know I was sounding it wrong. I know I was saying it wrong. Schizophrenic. Oh, I'm tripping. I know what the hell that is. See how easy the pronunciation of words can throw you off. Make me feel like I didn't know something I knew. Schizophrenic. Oh, wait. The brother and sisters of schizophrenics have been closely scrutinized and labeled, but with mental illness in initiatives that aim to expand the phenotype, the physical or mental manifestations of a genetic condition of schizophrenia. Because the focus is upon identifying, not treating the punitive disorders, such experiments are powerfully stigmatizing. In the case of Isaac and others, scientists wish to discover whether these boys shared their brother's purported violent tendencies and the so-called mean gene. And to accomplish this, the researchers did much more than simply give the boy a dose of fenfluramine. More than a dozen of the boys were withdrawn from all their medications for a month, including medications for such life-threatening chronic conditions as asthma. And for 4 days, they ate the special low monomine diet. I'll mark it. I'll mark that. Monomine. Let's look it up. A low monomine diet. Basically, I'll leave it there. They already basically low protein, because monomines affect serotonin levels. And the boys were hospitalized the night before. And once they were out of sight of their parents, food was withheld from the duration of the experiment. And the next morning, water was withheld as well. And at 8:03 a.m., physicians inserted a catheter and gave each boy fenfluramine hydrochloride by mouth. Fenfluramine had never been given to children under 12 before this experiment began. And 90% of adults given in a single dose experienced side effects ranging from anxiety, fatigue, headache, lightheadedness, difficulty concentrating, visual impairment, diarrhea, nausea, irritability, to the feeling of being high. Up to 30% of adults who take fenfluramine develop heart valve damage, and it can trigger a life-threatening form of high blood pressure called pulmonary hypertension. One boy complained of a severe headache, and the others complained of lightheadedness, but they were not released. And beginning at 10 a.m., blood was drawn hourly from the boys' catheters and tested to determine fluctuations in serotonin. The researchers claim that serotonin levels reveal aggressive tendencies is based upon questionable science, and Walsh characterized the casual association of serotonin levels and aggression as widely accepted, which is incorrect. The correlation has been heavily criticized, and in a 1996 Journal of Neurogenetics article by Dr. E. Balaban illuminated the specious nature of the research behind the genetics of aggressiveness when he conducted a devastating meta-analysis of 39 scientific studies. It revealed that no relationship between serotonin and violence was sustained anywhere in the body of research. The result confirmed an association between low 5-HIAA, a serotonin metabolite, levels, and psychiatric disorders, but failed to support a specific relationship between low 5-HIAA levels and impulsive aggression or criminality. It is premature and misleading to speak of mean genes, Hen, 1996, or a specific neurochemistry of aggressive behavior. The fictive nature of this cherished correlation proved merely the first layer of logical and design error, leaving aside for the moment the egregious social fallout of selecting only Black and Hispanic boys, this racial selection also created a serious scientific error. When only one ethnicity is considered in an experiment to elicit general information about the heterogeneous population, an unacknowledged set of socioeconomic variables are introduced. The boys were not only darker but poorer, and they also lived in less healthy physical environments than do most white boys. This distortion is magnified when the majority group is excluded, and most American boys are white. So excluding white boys is a very serious scientific misstep. And furthermore, the study design described no control group, a staple of such research. And finally, the researchers gave no coherent explanation of how they proposed to dissect any serotoninogenic effects of genetics from those caused by supposedly adverse rearing. The experimental results should have dealt a death blow to the sloppily conceived and executed research, because the boys who were ostensibly predisposed to aggression and violence by their adverse rearing and biological propensities actually exhibited normal or elevated serotonin levels in response to the brief fenfluramine challenge. However, Weserman's group responded by reversing themselves. And until the mid-1990s, they stated that low serotonin levels are a marker for violent propensities in children. And after their 1997 study, they wrote that elevated levels signaled violent propensities. These scientific errors were legion, but it is difficult to know where to begin in listing the ethical outrages of this study. And it is very hard to believe that it was conducted fairly recently by one of the nation's most prestigious universities. The experiment is rife with instances of undue inducement, from baiting children with $25 toy certificates to luring their parents with $100, no insignificant sum on the street of Washington Heights and Bedford-Stuyvesant. Such racial selection could stigmatize not only the participants, but all Black and Hispanic boys as born criminals. And the element of stigmatization is key in understanding certain racial disparities in research with children, because such research is not an egregious exception for Black children, and rather it is the norm. And in 2003, the journal Pediatrics published an analysis by University of Chicago researchers of 192 research studies in major U.S. pediatric journals between July of 1999 and June 2000. The authorities found that when compared with research participation of child subjects, generally Black children were overrepresented and Hispanic children were underrepresented in clinical trials, and both were underrepresented in therapeutic research. Now, Black and Hispanic children were overrepresented in potentially stigmatizing research, and from 52 to 54% of the children in non-therapeutic studies were whites. And this number was far lower than their 69 to 73% representation in the population. In contrast, 26 to 36% of the children's subjects or child subjects of non-therapeutic studies are Black, and twice to almost 3 times their 13% presence in the population. An element of intimidation, if not coercion, was introduced by the use of juvenile justice system officers to identify subjects to the medical researchers. Middle-class white Americans might appreciate police and probation officers as guardians who serve and protect, but inner-city Blacks often have hostile relationships with police. These important abuses raise the question of whether it is morally right to use healthy children in a study that is non-therapeutic, dangerous, and stigmatizing. And the Department of Health and Human Services, the DHHS, would seem to prohibit this. Its Code of Federal Regulations, the CFR, Title 45, Part 46, governs the protection of human experimental subjects and specifically prohibits experiments on healthy children that convey more than minimal risks. I would contend that fasting, hospitalization, low monoamine diet, fenfluramine challenge, serial blood sampling, and exhaustive psychological and educational testing is clearly more than minimal risk, observed Ernest D. Prentice, PhD, Associate Dean for Research at the University of Nebraska. That protocol was not approvable under the regulations, and when the Hearing Committee on Governmental Reform and Oversight convened to examine the FDA role in the fenfluramine research, Dr. Walsh, chair of the IRB, defended the study by invoking the recent deadly shootings at schools across our country. And John Oldham, NYSPI executive director, shared these concerns. With the disasters of Littleton and elsewhere, it has become abundantly clear that studies of aggressive behavior in children are imperative. However, the shootings in question had been carried out by white boys who were clearly troubled and violent, but who were specifically excluded from these studies in favor of children of color. I think that's still the case today. With all the mass shootings or school shootings who show themselves to be white children, then I think that all the things that they do to help it or make it harder for a person to get a gun or a person to own firearms or anything like that should be done to the side that is, has the highest perpetuation of these school shootings. However, the shootings in questions have been carried out by white boys who were clearly troubled and violent, but who were specifically excluded from these studies in favor of children of color. Why were such studies not conducted in suburban or rural, mostly white school systems? And despite the violation of confidentiality, the undue inducement of the medically risky non-therapeutic research on healthy children that clearly violated federal guidelines, and the racially discriminatory recruitment, the Office for Protection from Research Risk, the OPRR, investigation exonerated the research institutions. This sent a clear message that no penalties would be ascribed to dangerous research if it were conducted on Black children, declared lawyer and children's advocate Cliff Zucker. In cities like New York, where the poor are disproportionately minorities, OPRR's decision has a discriminatory impact on children of color. These children will be subject to experiments that may not be conducted on middle-class or Caucasian children. A 2004 study revealed that the fenfluramine experiments might have damaged more than these children's physical health and legal rights. A relatively low single dose of the drug has been implicated in brain damage in humans as well as in animals, and fenfluramine may actually trigger such behavior changes as increased aggression. Sadly, this is not news to Sharice Johnson and Isaac. 2 weeks after he was given the drug, he started having sharp, painful headaches. Then, as the headaches became more unbearable, he started having anxiety attacks and hyperventilating. He would start gasping for breath as if he couldn't breathe, as with someone who was having an asthma attack. He started having horrible nightmares. He would wake up in the night screaming, thinking that someone was in his room. And to this day, my son continues to suffer the severe consequences of the reckless disregard for him as a human being by those experimenters. To them, he was just another guinea pig. And Johnson had filed a lawsuit for the violation of Isaac's rights. and the other boys. Daniel S. Pine, MD, the study, we're not going to make it to my stopping point that I originally wanted to stop at. We're not going to make it there. I'm going to try to go at least two more pages. I'm going to try to go 2 more pages. And despite Johnson's insight and courage, justice has proven elusive for her as well. Her civil suit for $60 million against the city, the researchers, the NYSPI, the Columbia Presbyterian Hospital alleged breach of confidentiality and civil rights violations. But it languished for 3 years in the teeming file of Judge George B. Daniels of Federal District Court, Manhattan. Daniels, who is Black, was profiled by the New York Times in December of 2004 as the unchallenged king of delayed decisions, with 289 civil case motions pending for longer than 6 months, more than any other judge in the nation. And by the time Brown was able to force a decision through the appellate court in November of 2003, Isaac was 17, and Columbia was released as a defendant. As this book went to press, Johnson's case was scheduled for late 2006, and the fenfluramine experiments are not without precedent. 30 years earlier, the National Institute of Mental Health Center for Crime and Diligence and Delinquents awarded a 3-year, $300,000 grant to Digambar Borgankar, PhD. It's spelled Borgaonkar, Borgaonkar, PhD, under the aegis of Johns Hopkins University. He undertook the large study to investigate whether adolescent boys, many of whom were wards of Maryland's juvenile justice system, gave indications of a genetic anomaly, XYY. The XYY syndrome was first discovered in 1961 when Dr. A. Sandberg described a 6-foot white male who exhibited no mental or physical abnormalities, but who had an unusual chromosomal complement called an, oh Lord, I don't know how to pronounce this one. This one got me. An aneuploidy. 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 An aneuploidy. Aneuploidy. I think that's how you pronounce it. ANE. Anesthesia. ANEU. It's not in this one. Aneuploidy. Oh, not the Gundam. ANEU. Aneuploid. Having or being a chromosome number that is not an exact multiple of the user. Haploid number. Aneuploid. Aneuploidy. anuplide. Stand up, sucker. There we go. This condition affected not the workaday somatic chromosomes, but the sex chromosomes that determine maleness and femaleness. A normal male inherits an XY chromosome from his mother and one Y chromosome from his father. Women inherit two X's, one from each parent. But this man's karyotype or chromosome chart showed that he had one X and two Ys, an accident of reproduction. The man, yeah, I'm gonna stop on the next page. The man looked normal except for his height, a little extra abnormal girth, and troubled skin. Most XYY males look so normal that they tend to be detected by accident while doctors are looking for something else. The mere presence of a genetic variation such as XYY does not necessarily result in any appreciable difference in sociology. Sociology. Not sociology. It's not sociology. I'm sorry. Any appreciable difference in physiology. There we go. Any difference in physiology or behavior. I'm tripping. But visceral reactions about the presence of two Y chromosomes allow scientists to postulate that such men must be supermales possessed of unusual degrees of aggressiveness. For example, in 1973, Dr. L.F. Jarvik opened in the pages of the Journal of the American Medical Association that the Y chromosome is the male determining chromosome. Therefore, it should come out of no surprise that an extra Y chromosome can produce an individual with heightened masculinity, evinced by characteristics that such as unusual tallness, increased fertility, and powerful aggressive tendencies. A wealth of other differences were quickly ascribed to the XYY as well, including low intelligence, abdominal fat, large teeth, and acne. But by the mid-1970s, only tallness and adult acne and abdominal fat persisted as demonstrated XYY traits. The belief that XYY males with their extra Y chromosome were aggressive, even violent, and more likely to become criminals than genetically normal males was bolstered by a finding that XYY males were also found in mental penal institutions at a higher rate than other men. The XYY males were not in prison for violent crimes or found more frequently in regular prisons than were the typical XY males. Now, Borgenkar sought to discover the prevalence of XYY males in the U.S. population and to determine whether the XYY genetic anomaly might be responsible for aggressiveness and violent behavior. And to do this, he selected 6,000 boys, approximately 85% of whom were Black, and most of whom were housed in Maryland state institutions for abandoned or delinquent children. He also selected 500 more affluent boys in Edgemead, a Maryland private psychiatric treatment center, 80% of whom were white. For normal controls, the investigators selected 7,500 East Baltimore boys who were enrolled in a free child care program at Johns Hopkins University. And these boys lived in the housing project for low-income families that was 95% Black. Like the fenfluramine victims, these boys were subjected to stigmatizing testing and psychological assessments and blood draws in a 3-year experiment that could brand them as latent criminals for life. And parents were told that the blood samples were taken to test the anemia and other medical problems, but it was actually drawn to screen the 4 boys with the extra Y chromosome that made them XYY males instead of normal XY males. As with the fenfluramine study, the justice system played an active role in study recruitment. A Washington Daily News article observed Maryland juvenile court probation officers will probably be used to persuade resisting parents to sign a permission slip for them to take a blood sample. We're going to stop there. We have like 2 more pages to get to my stopping point where I originally wanted to stop, but that's fine. Yeah, we'll stop there. That's where we're going to stop. And that has been today's reading of chapter 11, The Children's Crusade, in Miss Harriet A. Washington's book, The Medical Apartheid. Where it is. The Dark History of Medical Experimentation on Black Americans from Colonial Times until the Present. Man, I appreciate everybody who stopped by, who stayed, and who listened and lent me your ear and watched, and so on and so forth. I appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe to everybody who's going to catch it on the back end. When you do like, comment, subscribe, tell your people, man. Tell them so we can see what we can learn and grow from in each of these books that are being read. We worked our mind, we worked our body, we worked our mind, and now we're gonna work our body one more time before we leave, man. Body. That's how we're gonna work it. That's how we're gonna do it. We are trying to do a better job of creating a habit of betterness. A habit of where we're gonna work our body and work our mind, where we're gonna try to fold both of them in together, man. We're gonna try to fold them on top of each other because we need both of them. We can't just work our body and we can't just work our mind. We need to work both. It needs to be a balance of some sort. So maybe the little shit that I do over here help push you to do most stuff yourself. Be better for you for later. Because me, I still want my grandfather 94. I got 194 and 191. And I'm trying to live to be that, if that. And I'm still trying to be able to get around good like them at that age of 94 and 91. So we're going to keep pushing. We're going to keep pushing through these books, one book at a time, man, one session at a time, one episode at a time, until we can find something that we can learn and grow from in each of these books. So we can find the things that we need to help us succeed, being that we have all that we need to succeed. We just need to learn how to use what we have already. We need to learn how to, better what we have already. If you can see, if you can hear, if you can think, if you can feel, if you can walk, if you can talk, man, you have everything that you need to succeed. The Most High has granted you with it. He has thrown it in your hand as a gift. You have all you need. Use it. Don't abuse it. Use it before you lose it. But anyway, let's work our body right quick on the way out. You do 25 things, man. You do your 25 things. I'm going to do 25 things, man. Let's do something. Do something. Something is better than nothing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I hate that clapping. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, come on, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Let's do another set right quick. Let's do another set. 25, come on, 25. So all we doing 25. Well, I did. I'm gonna do 25 more. Hell with y'all. I'm gonna do better. I ain't gonna cheat myself. I need to be better. I need to lose weight. I need to do it. And if I ain't gonna do it, who gonna do it? Me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Come on. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Come on. Push through. Push through. Push through. You can do. Push through. 11, 12, 13. Come on. Get your ass up. 14. Let's go. 15. We still got some more. 16. Let's go. 17, 18, 19, 20. 5 more. Let's ready. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 more. 1. Yes, sir. How can I help you? Oh!
I'm sweating.
I know I'm sweating, boy.
But it's working out there. Oh. Oh, oh God, whoa.
Yeah, flip you over, boy. You came over here trying to play. All right, there we go. I did me about 50 somethings. Then me 50 somethings, you do 25, man. Do something. Do something. Get off your ass. Do something. Do something. Bust a move. Bust a move, break a sweat, do something. Do something. Get off your ass, man. But we're going to keep pushing. We're going to keep pushing every day as we can. Lord willing. You know, the Feast of Dedications is upon us. So I might come back later. We're going to see, man. I might come back later on tonight and finish off chapter 11 of the Medical Apartheid by Miss Harriet A. Washington. I'll probably come back later on tonight, finish off chapter 11, because we're almost done with the book. We're almost done with the book. 15 chapters in the book. We're on chapter 11, man. We're moving along nicely. We're moving along nicely. So, yeah, but that's that, man. Catch me on the next go-around. Catch me on the next episode of Reading with SHILO, where we're going to continue to roll my ass through the books, through the sea of pages that has been laid out before us. The sea of pages. And boy, is it a sea. Boy, is it a sea of pages. I hate rolling through books. But I'm trying to learn to roll better and do better and be better. Be the example that I want my boys to see. Which means changes has to be made. And habits have to be developed. But anyway, that's it, man. Shalom, everybody. I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of y'all day. I hope y'all enjoy the reading whenever y'all do listen to it. For those who catch it on the back end, man. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe. Tell your people, man. Leave me a comment. Definitely leave me a comment, man. If it's a book that you think is good, that you might want to hear read, put it in the comments, man. Put in the comments. I have a couple of books that brothers have suggested, but, man, I would love to hear what good books have you read that has helped change the trajectory of your life? What have you been able to use and apply to your life to become better? A better father, better brother, son, mother, daughter, auntie, uncle, all the different things. What has helped you to become better? What did you need to grow in? Communication, understanding, patience. What have you opened up a book to see how can I help myself? If anything, leave a comment, man. I'm out here, man. I'm out here. Till next time, shalom. I'm out here. They ain't ready.